Hey everybody, this is Dr. Troy Lee, holistic nutritionist and anti-aging expert, and we are getting ready for our 28 days of eating real food. It starts on February 1st, 2023, but whenever you are seeing this video and you would like to join in, just go ahead and click the link below to the Facebook group and go ahead and join in. It's always a good time to get started eating real food. So just want to give some clarity on what I said regarding what real food consists of. I said in the description, and I probably need to change that real food is food you can recognize. It's what grows naturally in nature. But there are going to be some things that you're going to eat on a real food diet that don't quite look the way they came in nature, but they're still considered all natural foods. And they could come in a can or a box or frozen. So I just want to clarify some of that. So first, before we get started, always remember to hit that subscribe button, smash the like button, and do hit the bell so you can be notified when I upload new videos, because I do intend on uploading a new video every day for 28 days so you can see what I'm eating for the 28 days of Real Food Challenge. So number one, let's start with your meats. All meats, for the most part, are in their natural state. However, if you buy something like a rotisserie chicken or a butterball turkey, they have been injected with a lot of mess in terms of salt solutions, etc. So you want to look for meats where the ingredient is just the meat. So for an example, I like to buy these from Lidl's, whatever, and they're farmer-focused, organic, and range-free chicken. So yes, Super Bowl is coming up, and you can still eat chicken wings on Super Bowl Sunday if you want, but you need to make your own. You don't need to go out and order them. So this is the chicken that I prefer. It's organic, it's range-free, and so although this is in a package, it's just chicken. So technically, yes, it's processed, but it's just chicken. I don't expect you to go out and start grabbing your own chickens and wringing their necks and trying to figure out what to do with the chicken. So you want to look for organic, range-free meats if you can. So that's chicken. These are some thin sliced chicken breasts. Again, the same brand. Wild-caught salmon. So folks, salmon is a superfood. It sure is. But if you're buying the farm-raised salmon that has had color added, it's been deodorized, it has antibiotics in the water, it's not fed a natural diet, you're really not eating real food. So any fish that you eat, you want to go for wild-caught fish. So this is my wild-caught pink salmon. Sometimes I get sockeye salmon, that's a lot more expensive, but as long as it's wild-caught, and there's nothing in this package except for fish. So you always want to read the label and make sure that you're getting something that's all natural and as unprocessed as possible. So that's for your fish. Now what about dairy? If you're going to use butter, butter is processed, but this, as you can see, I think you can see that, is organic butter. So yes, this is considered processed, but it's just butter. So this would be acceptable during your 28-day. So yogurt, this is an organic Greek yogurt. I think you can see that, and it's plain yogurt. So you don't want to buy the yogurt that already has flavors added, artificial sweeteners added, all the other nonsense that they put in yogurt. Just get your own yogurt. If you want to sweeten it a little bit, do it with a little teeny bit of maple syrup or honey, because during this process, we want to try to keep sugars out of our diet, and not to mention no white sugar whatsoever, because that is a highly processed food. But if you need to use a sweetener, let me just step over here to the fridge real quick. This is my sweetener that I basically use. Is maple syrup. It's 100% pure Vermont. It's not organic, but I do not use that much sweetener anyway. So when I put a little bit of this, and I would say if I'm getting a cup of yogurt, I'm going to use a teaspoon of this just to sweeten it. And this takes care of my prebiotic and probiotic that I need, or probiotic I should say. So I usually get maybe a half a cup of this per day. Again, I like to use organic yogurt, and I like to use the Greek yogurt because it's more protein in it. Okay, now what are some other foods that might be processed? Olive oil. Olive oil is absolutely amazing for heart health, but here's the problem. It's been estimated over 70% of the olive oil on your supermarket shelves, it's fake olive oil. So you got to make sure you're getting real olive oil. I continue to research this brand. This is California Olive Ranch brand, and it always comes out as a pure olive oil. So use olive oil. Yes, technically it's processed because it is oil, but this is the only oil I would recommend that you use for your 28 days of real food. And try to get real olive oil, because like I said, most of it fake. Leave all the other seed oils alone. All of them. Don't touch them now, hence and forevermore. I would prefer that you not use seed oils, because seed oils are highly inflammatory to your system. And we know that inflammation is the #1 cause of all sickness and disease, so we don't want that. Okay, so that's considered processed, but that's okay. I like to use ghee. This is my ghee. This is clarified butter. So you can use real butter or clarified butter. I use this in cooking because it has a higher smoke point and it's more stable. So folks, the things with fats is this, the fat that you find in oils, etc. Once they're heated beyond a certain point, the fat molecules become unstable and they can become dangerous to our bodies. They're no longer good for our health. And even with olive oil, I really don't cook with this. I use it for my salads. I use it for maybe if I saute some cabbage and some broth and I want a little bit of flavor with it, I'll drizzle olive oil over it after I've already cooked it. So I don't heat up my olive oil. So that's fats for cooking. What about peanut butter? Organic peanut butter. What's the ingredient in here? Peanuts and a little bit of sea salt. So technically, yeah, processed, but it's not a really highly processed food. So if you're going to use peanut butter, watch what you're spreading it on, of course, but just get an organic peanut butter that only has peanuts in it. A lot of peanut butter, they have the original peanut oil taken out, and then they have cottonseed or safflower or sunflower oil put back in. Then they have some stabilizers, they have sugar and salt. This is just peanuts and a little bit of sea salt. So that's acceptable. This technically is processed. This is oat bran, but what's the ingredient? The ingredient is oat bran. So again, if it's going to be processed, make sure it's 1 ingredient only or 2 at the max. You want to use good Himalayan pink sea salt. Your body needs salt, but it doesn't need that Morton iodized salt that we're getting because that's processed salt. What about raisins? What's the ingredient? Raisins, acceptable on the real food diet. Peanuts, what's the ingredient? Peanuts, acceptable. Now, oatmeal. This is old-fashioned, gluten-free, organic oatmeal. Acceptable, it is real food. However, this is still a processed food, believe it or not. What the oat grain looks like a large rice grain. And once any grain is cracked open, it starts to lose its nutritional value. So the original oat grain is called oat groats. And so it goes from oat groats to steel cut oats and now to roll oats. So this is technically processed, but if you're hooked on your oatmeal, go ahead and eat it. Just watch how much maple syrup you're putting in it. And speaking of sweeteners, while stevia is a 0-calorie natural sweetener, your body is still responding as if it had sugar. So I don't recommend stevia at all anymore. I used to, but it's kind of like it's just not a natural food by the time we get it. Now, if you want to grow your own stevia and pick those leaves and then mash them up in your food, do that. But that little white powder that we're getting, I would leave that on the table. Okay, what else do I have here? Okay, so here's salmon in a can. So this again is wild Alaskan salmon. Wild is the key word. This is okay, although it's processed, but again, what's the ingredient? Salmon and salt, 2 ingredients. Flax seeds, I keep these around. I make my own flaxseed crackers. You'll see me make those during this 28-day period, I'm sure. But all these look processed, they're not, they're just seeds and they're intact. And that's another thing. So when I crush these to make my flaxseed crackers, I'm getting all the nutrients because I just freshly cracked that grain open. Now, always have lots of nuts on hand. These are my raw almonds. These are my raw walnuts. Before you use nuts, you should soak them overnight and then put them in a dehydrator, because when you soak the nuts, you're getting out the phytic acid that is called an anti-nutrient for our body, and we really don't want that in our body. So you do need to soak them. Then you need to dry them on a very, very low temperature. So I have a dehydrator. I'm sure you're going to see that too during these next 28 days. But if you don't have a dehydrator, just crack open, just turn your oven in the lowest setting, which is usually 170 degrees. Slightly crack it open, like with an oven mitt or something, so it emits a little bit of air. And in about 20 hours, they will be nice and dry. What else do I have up here that could be considered processed? Okay, let's talk about spices. If you can, use single ingredient spices. So use your cinnamon, your oregano, your thyme, all of the stuff that has a single ingredient. Now, do I normally use stuff with multiple ingredients and spices? Yes. Am I going to say it's the best? I'm not going to swear to that. This is one of my favorite spices, Old Bay. I put it on everything. This is my favorite chicken wings. The way I fix chicken wings is with Old Bay spice. But when you read the ingredients, the main ingredient is celery seed. Let me just get this out here. So it starts with celery, salt, and salt. Then it has spices. What spices? They really don't tell us, right? So try to stay away from mixed spices during your 28-day real food challenge. Here's another seasoning that we use, fajita seasoning. It doesn't have MSG. We don't use MSG, but it doesn't really tell me what's in here except it's not MSG. So this would be on my, shaky list. What else? Getting healthy fat. You want to get that in your olive oil. You want to get that in your avocado. An avocado a day keeps the doctor away as far as I'm concerned. Lots of fresh fruit and vegetables. So will you eat some technically processed food? Yes, during our 28-day real food challenge, but it's still going to be real food that's been minimally processed. So I hope this helps you with your shopping list as you get ready to start your 28-day real food challenge, and I'll see you tomorrow. Blessings and bubbles. Bye-bye.